Hello there, channel members, friends, and followers from around the world. This is Q8 Pilot, your host for tonight's show. It is 2100 hours local time, 2000 hours the time in Innsbruck at the time of this broadcast. And today we are going to be taking a look at sort of a comparison between Microsoft Flight Simulator and X-Plane 11. This is something that you guys have asked me for, and due to popular demand, I decided to do this in a live stream format today, where we are going to take the default Cessna 172 in both X-Plane and Microsoft Flight Simulator. I think a lot of you wanted to see this. This is, by the way, as indicated in the description of the stream, by no means a comparison to declare one sim better than the other or one should win over the other. We're just really going to take a look at what the differences are really between Microsoft Flight Simulator and X-Plane 11 and appreciate those differences rather than calling one sim better than the other, or this sim is good, this sim is bad. This is not the intention of this stream. Benny, welcome aboard, my friend, and thank you for becoming a VVIP member of the Q8 Pilot channel. I appreciate it. And Jankis, welcome aboard. India Virtual Aviation, welcome. Lucas Aviation, welcome aboard, my friend. Glad to have you with us. We have Stuart Cooper, hello, my friend, and welcome. Mike from the East Coast, USA, welcome aboard, my friend. Glad to have you with us. We have Matthias as well. Welcome aboard. Andy 1302. Welcome aboard, my friend. Kara, hello, my friend. Mertoya, the Mago Louis. Hello, my friend. Welcome. Esme 17. We have Matthias and John Yan Yup from Kuwait City. Hello, my friend. Welcome aboard. Thank you again, Benny. Chris, welcome aboard. And we also have Chop and Drop. Welcome aboard, my friend. Glad to have you. So what we're going to be doing today, folks, is we are going to be starting with Microsoft Flight Simulator in the Cessna 172, the default aircraft. There are no mods whatsoever. In both situations, we are going to be loading the Orbex version of Innsbruck, both in Microsoft Flight Simulator and in X-Plane 11. We are going to be flying at real time, real weather, with the default weather being that of the sim itself. There are no additional add-ons except for FS Realistic and XP Realistic for both the Cessna 172 in both sims. So, Richard, welcome aboard, my friend. AvGeek, hello, my friend. Steve Bennett, welcome. All right, so, by the way, we can, of course, note the visuals and maybe the FPS as well. And to do this, we can simply come here. We're not going to make this again a, I don't want this to be who's the winner, but just for a point of reference for you guys, we're going to go to the developer here and go to apply and save and go back, resume the sim. We are getting, about 62, 63 frames. And this is, by the way, this is a little less because of Streamlab OBS. So without Streamlab OBS, I was getting about 72 frames, 75 frames in Microsoft Flight Simulator and 72 frames in X-Plane in the same exact situation. So we're going to go ahead and turn this off. Maybe I'll give you a few tips at the end of the stream for those of you who are new. But we are now in the Cessna 172, and this pretty much looks like a Cessna 172. Nice texturing. This is the default Sobo Cessna 172. The aircraft, I think, is very representative of what you'd see in real life in terms of the texturing. It's very nice indeed, and the exterior model is also very nice and quite authentic and representative of the real 172 in a real world. So a quick look at the weather, and what we're going to do is we're going to verify the weather. We have Aspide from Italy. Welcome aboard, my friend. Glad to have you with us. So we are going to check the weather that Microsoft Flight Simulator gives us against an independent source, which is real world weather from a real world weather application that I have on my mobile. So we're just going to compare the two and make sure that we have similar results so that we actually have a fair, we can look at the differences properly between both sims. So we're going to go to the METAR here first thing, and we're going to click on METAR. We're going to select Innsbruck, and the current weather here at Innsbruck is showing, let's see here, slightly different, I think. So 164 knots. What I have in my app is 140 degrees, 3 knots. And I have the clouds few at 5,000 feet AGL, as well as 7,000 feet AGL. And this is exactly, well, it's pretty much the same. We have few at 5,000, broken at 8,000, and the temperature is 18, and the application is reporting, and let's see here, the temperature in the app is is about 17, so about the same. So in terms of the weather information, I think it's spot on. So whatever weather we're getting from Microsoft Flight Simulator, we are getting from an independent app to confirm the temperature and the weather and for the METAR information. Based on the METAR information, we are going to be departing runway 08 today at Innsbruck, based on the weather direction and speed. So we are good here. Let's go ahead and start the aircraft, taxi to the runway. We're going to take off, climb to 15,000 feet. We're going to perform a few stalls in both dirty and clean configuration. Then we're going to head back to Innsbruck and land runway 08. Once we're done, then we are going to go to X-Plane and repeat the same steps. Gorgon, how are you, my friend? Welcome aboard. Glad to have you. TFK's Linux Gaming, welcome aboard. Glad to have you. I'm glad you were watching another video. And we have Dennis. Dennis, welcome aboard from Halifax. Hello, my friend. Welcome. Are you using Airsoft Traffic for AI traffic modeling? No, I'm not using any traffic. And your favorite X-Vision preset is the Nordic Extreme. That would be my preferred preset for X-Plane. All right, so let's hide the yoke, and let's go ahead and turn on the beacon light. And battery and alternator are both on. And we're going to make sure the fuel valve is closed and the fuel selector is on both tanks. We are going to push the mixture full rich, and we are going to turn on the fuel pump and just give it a little more here and put this back. And now we are ready to start the aircraft. All right, we have a good start. And taxi, nav lights, avionics. I'll make sure the altimeter is set. Perfect. All right. We are ready to taxi to the runway. We are going to make sure the transponder is turned on. All right. Perfect. All is good. And let's go ahead and release the parking brake and head over to the runway. Takes a little bit of throttle to get the aircraft moving. Yeah, look at that. That's a lot of throttle to get the aircraft moving. We almost hit that bus. All right, let's head over to runway 08. Now, in terms of the visuals, Of course, we can't compare the two. I mean, Microsoft Flight Simulator is second to none when it comes to visuals. And by the way, I'm going to show you guys a trick that might help some of you guys with performance. But we'll save that for later. All right, so we're taxiing to the runway now. We're a bit too fast. Now, when you hit the brakes, by the way, steering in Microsoft Flight Simulator on the ground is very touchy. But once you add those response curves, I think it's pretty good. Very nice Orbx rendition of Innsbruck airport for the sim. There's a Dash 8 Q400. All right, here we are coming up to the runway. Now we have sufficient runway to obtain 60 knots, which is the rotation speed. So we're going to leave the flaps alone. We're not going to lower the flaps. There's no need to lower the flaps, so we're just going to keep the flaps retracted. We're going to turn on the strobe, the landing light. Taxi light can go off. Nice day to fly at Innsbruck. What time for... Yeah, absolutely. Should have been using the G1000 C172 since the Steam one don't have... Yeah, I mean, we could have used that. I think it would not really make much of a difference since we're not really going to be navigating today. All right. By the way, on the run-up, they both work as they should. And in accordance with the pilot operating handbook, the drops in RPM and all that stuff, both the X-Plane and the MSFS version. All right. By the way, I have not performed these tests before this stream. So this kind of a non-scheduled stream. So I'm doing this with you guys. All right. So we already lined up runway 08, and we're going to give it full throttle. And we're going to rotate speed is alive, and we're going to rotate at about 60 knots. Should be able to do it at 55, but that's all right. We'll wait for 60. All right, 60 knots. Rotate. We're going to maintain about 70 knots for our climb. Doing good. Everything is working as it should. Let's turn on the lights here. And we are going to maintain the current speed and continue to climb a little further. very immersive, I must say. Very, very enjoyable. Unless you're referencing Q8, in which case I'm sure he could. All right, so we have Joe, and Joe says that he flies this plane all the time in real life. So I think, Joe, you can help us today on a few tips and tricks, and maybe we can have your insights as well as to what do you think as a pilot. In my personal experience, I have found that XP-11 C-172 carries too little energy, and the FS carries too much in general. I've enjoyed flying more in X-Plane 11. And the visuals in FS. I probably share the same thoughts there. But here, let's take this. All right, so here's what we're going to do now, folks. We are going to level off. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to ease off on the throttle. And the first thing we're going to do now is I'm going to reduce power and maintain pitch up until we are almost at rotation speed. And then we're going to perform the first stall test. All right. So we are at 60 knots. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to pitch up. Keep it there. Stall warning. And there she goes. Wow. Well, that was a little, I don't know. I think it was a little too much for what the aircraft should have done. But I don't know. We have somebody who flies the aircraft all the time, so you can let us know if that was what it's supposed to do or not. All right. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to climb once more to 3,000. But this time, what we're going to do is we're going to lower the flaps. All right, so we're going to go flaps full. All right, let's pitch up. And there's the stall. All right, better recovery now with right rudder. And full power. And we're going to retract the flaps now. And what we're going to do is we're going to do exactly the same thing with X-Plane 11. But now we're going to head back to the airport and land. That's the airport. We're going to make the turn and land the on runway 08. Omari, hello, my friend. Welcome aboard. Overall, I really like flying in Microsoft Flight Simulator. I think this Cessna does seem a little overpowered, but overall, very, very enjoyable. That looks like my spin training I had a while back. Avoid using ailerons is a good thing. The power was on during the first stall. So we had power in both cases. So here's the airport, and what we're going to do is we're going to head all the way and turn back and land runway 08. Beautiful rendition of Orbex of the airport. Now, I do like the lighting, and by the way, we started at about, we're going to have to reset the time in X-Plane to account for exactly the same time we started in Microsoft Flight Simulator, but that's all right. We know the time, 2000 hours local time, so that's what we're going to do. The airport is right to our right now, as you can see here. That's Innsbruck. And we're just going to continue, and we're going to give ourselves sufficient time to make the turn and land runway 08 once more, favoring the wind direction and speed. Thanks, the angles are off too much for me. We'll do an update and check the latest version. Bill, hello, my friend. Welcome aboard. Good afternoon to you, my friend. Interesting video, by the way. You have seen the new K-Fat scenery yet? Yes, I have seen it, of course, and I purchased it. It has received the first update. I'll tell you guys, I really enjoy flying in Microsoft Flight Simulator. If you're just looking for immersion, I think it is immersive. It feels very realistic, and by the way, I have flown the Cessna 172 in real life, so it is not completely alien to me. I've done more Pipers, so I've flown the Pipers more than I've flown the Cessna 172, but I've flown I've flown this aircraft in real life, and this actually feels very satisfying. Flying the Cessna 172 in Microsoft Flight Simulator definitely feels very satisfying. It is indeed very immersive, and I love the fact that, you know, when the wind hits the aircraft from the sides, it acts exactly as it does in real life. It pushes you, and I remember the instructor telling me, when that happens, let the aircraft do its thing, let the wind push the aircraft, and then once it's done, then you can bring the aircraft back on your heading. So we're we're at runway 08. We're gonna line up here and land the aircraft. Gonna idle the power here completely. Right, and we're almost there. Looking good. Flaps full. Want to keep it at about 60 knots. All right, and we're back at Innsbruck. That was a lot of fun, I'll tell you guys. I really immensely enjoyed flying the Cessna 172 in Microsoft Flight Simulator. I think especially the dirty configuration, the aircraft behaved exactly as it should, according to the pilot operating handbook. On the on the clean configuration, I really am not sure, but we have with us some real-world pilots here to confirm if the behavior was accurate or not. But it's definitely enjoyable, very, very immersive, quite fun, and nothing short of an immersive experience flying in the Microsoft world. Do you own the PA-28? Yes, sir. I do own the PA-28. Pipers, respect. I have yet to fly a Piper. More of the Mooney guy myself. The sound design of S is so much better than X-Plane 11, I will say. Yes, definitely. The sounds, by the way, in Microsoft Flight Simulator, all the default aircraft. I know the Cessnas, I think the King Air, they've been recorded from the real aircraft. So the technology, I think, allows for recording from the real aircraft. It's really next generation sim. I mean, Microsoft Flight Simulator is a revolution in flight sim technology in all respects. So definitely very, very good. Seems a lot better than I remember. And yeah, I mean, it has come a long way, by the way. The flight model in Microsoft Flight Simulator has definitely come a long way. I noticed, though, when we were parking, it takes a little bit of, power to get the aircraft moving. And I'm not sure that's... I'm not sure if it's very realistic, but yeah, it took a while to get the aircraft moving, and I had the throttle almost at 50% for the aircraft to actually begin moving from its location, parking spot. All right, so let's set the parking brake. Parking brake is set, and we're going to turn off the avionics. And now we can kill the engine. And we can turn off all the lights. Magneto is to the off position. And batteries are off. And that is it. We have concluded our test flight in Microsoft Flight Simulator. And now we're going to do exactly the same. But this time we're going to do it in X-Plane 11. How much power did it take to get moving? About 50% throttle. I wasn't paying attention to the RPM, but almost 50% throttle, a little more than 50% to get the aircraft moving on the ground, which I believe is a bit excessive. For soft field ops, that would make sense, even more than 50%, but on asphalt, that is excessive. That's what I would think, yeah. So if it was a grass field, then I would assume that you need more power to get the aircraft moving and to maintain the speed. Yeah, definitely. But definitely, like you said, on asphalt, it is a lot. All right. So, guys, what we're going to do is we're going to start X-Plane. And let me see here. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to turn this guy off. And we are going to start X-Plane. Yeah. All right, now that we have X-Plane, I'm going to go ahead and turn off. Let's go main menu, continue. And quit. All right, now we're going to do the same thing, but this time we're going to do it with X-Plane 11. And it looks like we have a dark screen until X-Plane loads. There we go. All right, X-Plane is back. Perfect. And we're going to configure the sim so that we have exactly the same configuration as the Microsoft Flight Simulator flight. So I have the Cessna Skyhawk. We're going to go to the time of day. We're going to select Customize. Today's date is July 10th. July 10th. And we're going to start at exactly the same time we started which is in 2000 hours local time at Innsbruck. We're going to say done. We have Innsbruck selected. We're going to select the same parking position and confirm and start. Perfect. Guys, I would really appreciate it if you hit that like button if you are enjoying the show. And be sure to hit the notification bell button so that you are notified of the latest videos here on the channel. And by the way, I'm streaming live tomorrow at 1800 Zulu. We are going to be flying from Buffalo Niagara International to Washington Dulles aboard the CRJ 700 by Airsoft, and I will be accompanied tomorrow by our virtual first officer, Kevin Lombardi, who is going to be assisting me flying the CRJ. Should be a fun flight. Two great airports that we're going to be departing and arriving into, so be sure to tune in tomorrow, and it should be good fun. One thing I love about FS 2020 is that has made aviation accessible and exciting for so many people, and I really enjoy seeing so many new people. Absolutely. So it's completely dark here in X-Plane. So I'm going to adjust the time a little bit. Obviously, day and night doesn't really... we're going to change this to... all right, see here, apply. No, that's still too dark. So I'm going to change the time here a little bit in X-Plane, but we're going to fly in real weather. So we're just going to wait for things to load. All right. So first thing we're going to do is we are going to bring up the map, and we're going to do exactly what we did in MSFS. We're going to check the METAR that X-Plane gives us, and this is Innsbruck. And what it's giving us right now is sky conditions 5,000 few, 8,000 broken, visibility more than 10, wind light and visibility, altimeter 3018. I think this is pretty much the same weather information that we got in Microsoft Flight Simulator, and it is confirmed by an independent app. So the weather that is being injected in both simulators is very accurate. So it is giving us a very accurate METAR in both situations. All right. Again, guys, in the first test, the Cessna 172 in Microsoft Flight Simulator is default without any mods. And now we're performing the same test in X-Plane 11 in the default Cessna 172 without any modifications. I do have XP Realistic, and we've flown the Microsoft leg with FS Realistic. So all in all, everything the same. The scenery in both cases is Orbex Payware Innsbruck. So exactly, everything is exactly the same in terms of add-ons used. And as you can see here, this looks okay as a Cessna 172. I think it does look okay. It's not bad. Can I enable performance mode here? Yeah, that's much better. All right. And in both cases, by the way, I've had 70 FPS on the ground at Innsbruck in both Microsoft Flight Simulator and X-Plane 11. Now, in terms of the interior, this looks representative of a Cessna 172, but of course, in terms of the visuals, it is no match to the fidelity of Microsoft Flight Simulator. Looking at the exterior model, I think it looks very, very nice. It is quite authentic. I do like the reflections. In some angles, it doesn't look very realistic in my view, but that is the least of our concerns in this live stream or this video, where we are really taking a look at the capability of the aircraft itself. So what we're going to be doing now is we are going to be heading back to the cockpit, if we can. All right, I'm not sure what it's doing here. Let's go to camera 2. All right, so that's our camera. And all right, so we are going to hide the yoke, and we're going to perform exactly the same steps. So we're going to turn on the battery. Beacon light is on, and the alternator is on. Oops, why is that? All right, the fuel valve is in, and both tanks are selected. Nav lights can go on as well. And what we're going to do is we're going to crack the throttle 1/4 of an inch open and mixture full rich. We're going to turn on the fuel pump and just prime the aircraft. Fuel pump off and mixture to idle cutoff. And now we are going to start the aircraft. There we go. We have a good start. And we can turn on our avionics. Taxi lights are on. And everything here looks good as well. Gonna make sure this is turned on. All right, so transponder is on. We don't need anything else. We're gonna taxi again based on the current weather. We are gonna taxi to runway 08, depart, and gain some altitude, perform our test, stall tests, and then we're gonna head back to the airport and land the aircraft, similar to what we've done in Microsoft Flight Simulator. Let's bring up the lights here, right, and right here. All right, all's looking good. Or bring the yoke back. Let's release the parking brake, and it just wants to go. Quite the opposite of what the 172 in Microsoft Flight Simulator did, where it did not want to move. This one, what are these guys doing? All right, this one was immediate. It's just, I didn't have to give it any power for it to actually start moving. And that's probably also not, very realistic. And I have found that both sims, the ground operations on both sims is far from accurate. Both Microsoft Flight Simulator and X-Plane, they both have their issues. But one is, one didn't want to move. We had to give it on asphalt ground. We had to give it like more than 50% throttle in order to move it out of the ground. And the other one is just with very little input started moving, with almost no input on the throttle, started moving. Again, the same scenery, Orbex, True Earth, beg your pardon, Orbex, Innsbruck, and you can see the same high fidelity visuals there. Beautiful night lighting in X-Plane, something I really like in X-Plane. Not so much the actual aircraft textures here on this 172, but looks pretty good. Yeah. I have both FS. Anyone with X-Plane 12 is being released. It's probably very soon. But no date on the release yet. Yeah. X-Plane is a much better flight sim. 2020 is, in terms of flight sim, no matter how good it looks. Well, I think it's getting there. I think the flight model in Microsoft Flight Simulator is getting there. We are seeing a lot of improvements. So I'm very pleased to where the sim is going and to what Asobo and Microsoft have achieved. But I'm also extremely excited about X-Plane 12 and what is going to bring to the flight sim community. I do like, by the way, the sounds in Microsoft Flight Simulator a lot better than X-Plane. Alright, so we're going to turn on the strobes, landing lights, taxi can go off, and we're going to make sure, we'll put the mixture on full rich once we are at the runway. And as I've indicated previously in the Microsoft Flight Simulator segment of this live stream, both aircraft, when you do the run-up, so when you do the magneto check, the drops are spot on per the pilot operating handbook in both cases. So we're going to skip the run-up today, and we're just going to go straight flying. By the way, the visuals, when you have Orbex True Earth or Ortho for XP, X-Plane actually looks pretty darn good. So in terms of the visual, it looks really fantastic. I mean, just look at those taxi lights there. Beautiful. Just absolutely beautiful. All right. We're lining up, runway 08. Ready for departure based on the wind direction and speed. This is the departure runway. And we are good to go. We're going to give it full power. We're going to make sure the mixture is full rich. And we're actually flying without flaps. So here we go. Let's bring the yoke back. Full power. The sounds are kind of lousy. Airspeed is alive. "60 knots, rotate." And we're going to maintain about 70. Now, I'll tell you, the wind, when the wind hits the aircraft in X-plane, it just feels so realistic. The feel of it is just wow. And I just really love how smooth the sim is. All right, we're going to continue to climb. All right, we're coming up to 3,000. I'm sorry, guys. I'm not really looking at chat so much today. Stan, hello, my friend. Welcome aboard. Glad to have you with us. Because I really want to focus on what I'm doing here to... All right, 3,000 feet. So here's what we're going to do. We are going to reduce our speed to rotation speed. I'm going to maintain the current pitch. All right, now we're going to pitch up. Leave it. All right. I'll tell you guys, this is very, very accurate, because I'll tell you what. I just, right before this stream, I watched a video of a real world pilot performing a 172 stall. And this is in the clean configuration, so without the flaps. This is exactly what he had encountered in the clean configuration. So now what we're going to do, we're going to lower the flaps. So we're going to go flaps full. All right, and we're going to pitch up. Oh, yes. I'll tell you, this is actually very, very accurate based on the video I watched of the 172. All right, let's head over back to the airport. Track the flaps. Try doing stalls in the hot start. CL60 definitely has most. Yeah. All right, that's the airport. and we're going to make the turn again and land runway 08. Now, before actually making the stream, I went ahead. That horn sound, like, yeah, the sounds in X-Plane are not, definitely not the strong point, but the model, the flight model. I watched a real Cessna 172 pilot. He was actually he's an instructor, so he was actually showing a student how to perform the stall and recover from the stall, and how to perform the maneuver. And to me, what I experienced in X-Plane seemed to me more realistic. It's more aligned with the video, with the real world Cessna 172 video that I've watched. But again, you guys are there. We have some real world pilots with us here, so they can actually tell us. Also, X-Plane slow flight a lot better. Try doing stalls in the hot start. We'll definitely try that for sure. Steve, this one is right now. This is X-Plane 11. And the previous part of the stream was Microsoft Flight Simulator. So we do have slight headwind, about 4 knots. And we have the airport to our right. Alright, we're going to make the turn towards the airport. I'm going to start reducing our power here. The airport is actually behind us now. Oh, actually, we're still flying adjacent to the airport, so we need a little more time to just gain a little bit more distance so that we can make our turn. I love the smoothness of X-Plane. So smooth. By the way, the new DLSS in MSFS, I've seen some of the beta testers. They are reporting significant gains in performance in the in Sim Update 10 beta. So hopefully we'll be able to see that very soon. That's the mountain. I think this is where we can begin our turn. Alright, let's begin our turn towards Innsbruck and land runway 08. By the way, yeah, it's right there. Alright. Think we made the turn a bit too early, but that's okay. All right, and we are back at Innsbruck. All in all, I think both simulators were great, and they were both very immersive. Of course, with the high points in Microsoft Flight Simulator, with the sound, the scenery, the graphics, and the flight model is not bad. I mean, it's not really to the point where it misrepresents the flight model. I think it still does, fairly well, and it's very accurate, actually, if you ask me. But I found that X-Plane, at least my experience, according to my own experience flying the 172 in real life, and the videos I have interrogated before this live stream, I have found that X-Plane to be a little more accurate in the representation of the flight model in the sim. All right, we are back at Innsbruck in one piece, thank God. Parking brakes set. Let's turn off the avionics. Nav lights, strobes, beacon. We can kill the engines. Magnetos, and alternator and battery. All right. Well, folks, there you have it. I think many of you have been asking for this video or stream, and there you have it. X-Plane 11 versus MSFS in the default Cessna 172. I think. Hey Q8, question for you. Which do you consider better in terms of systems and flight modeling between the Phoenix and the Tolus A340? The Phoenix wins. There is the straight answer for you. The Phoenix wins hands down. I think what we have today, ladies and gentlemen, is two flight simulators that provide us with immense enjoyment. Both Microsoft Flight Simulator and X-Plane 11, and hopefully X-Plane 12 in the very near future. I think, I will reiterate what I've said in the beginning, is that both sims actually have a lot of pros and a lot of cons. And just being an X-Plane user for the longest part of my content creation career, I can tell you that I am really enjoying both sims equally. I love, the Phoenix, the PMDG, the BAE 146, and the many new excellent GA aircraft in MSFS, but I also really enjoy X-Plane 11 a lot with all the high fidelity aircraft and the beautiful scenery as well in X-Plane, as well as, of course, the fidelity of the flight modeling. So all in all, well, I think we're in for a treat, ladies and gentlemen. I think this, we've never had better time for flight simulation in general, specifically speaking for Microsoft Flight Simulator and X-Plane 11. And I think we have two beautiful simulators to enjoy. And of course, I'd like to also mention that for those of you who like military combat, there is DCS, which is also a very realistic and high fidelity simulation of combat operations and military aircraft. So this is really what I wanted to share with you guys. I hope that you've enjoyed watching this live stream as much as I enjoyed streaming it for you. If you have any questions, as usual, please do post us in the comments section below. Until next time, please take care of yourselves and each other, and I will see you all very soon. Stay safe, and bye-bye for now.